You're watching the Central Television Network. The following program has been classified PG and parental guidance is recommended.
Dunstall with the one hand. Dunstall from behind. As I said before, this fella can play football. Oh, that's very heavy. He's having as smooth as ever. He shoots and the Tigers are away. Damping the loose ball. Snaps and gets another one. Hawkins off beauty. Kick the goal, Dougie. Oh, Hawkins! Beautiful!
Ladies and gentlemen, the boys have had it their own way for far too long, so I'm here tonight to add a bit of glamour to a show that already oozes class. Live and kicking!
Good evening and welcome to Live and Kicking. What a huge weekend of footy. Round two was the Bombers are on top of the table, and isn't that good news for... A couple of other teams doing very well. Geelong undefeated, and a couple of the interstate sides, West Coast and Port Power. What about the interstate sides? Sort of figured we might get that response. Now, the racial vilification issue has reared its ugly head again. Peter Everett is currently being investigated. And injuries. Well, the league, after only round two, has been decimated by injuries to some of the biggest names in the game. We'll chat about that, one of them being James Hird. He's going under the knife tomorrow morning, but he'll pop in tonight to tell us exactly what's going to happen there. Kevin Sheedy, speaking of the Bombers, they are going along nicely. We'll get the super coach himself in, and he figures pretty prominently when we go kicking back to 1974. Now, we've got a couple of big names from the Crows and Port Power who are building a doghouse tonight. Why? You'll find out shortly. And we've got the Carlton boys trying their hand at I Dream of Jeannie, and that will be special, let me tell you right now. But let's meet the panel for tonight's show. As usual, Bulldog legend Dougie Hawkins. The Tigers bounced back in great fashion on the weekend, and one of the keys to their resurgence is one of the stars, and he's popular with the females. Put your hands together for Nick Daffy. And we mentioned the boys from down Geelong Way are going along beautifully. One of the old popular faces down there. He's, well, one of our favourites. Johnny Barnes.
Yeah. Johnny! Hey, be careful, mate. I'm not old.
And it would be remiss of us if we went any further without introducing our special guest announcer. Now, this lady has been voted the 4th sexiest woman on earth. And I think it's not far off the mark. Thank you, Dougie. Right. Put your hands together for Annalise Brackensee. Now, Johnny Barnes. Great to have you in, mate, and I believe this is the new, more serious John. You want to be taken seriously now, don't you?
Oh, Jace, I think I've been taken seriously most of my life, but I've Well, I have, I suppose, done a few wrong things, mate, in my time. Like, got on the old beers too many times. I'm just trying to stay away from that sort of stuff, mate.
What happened to the hairdo, Johnny? Got the
Yeah, all
new
those,
look hairdo,
those
and you got
two
the
blokes in the makeup room,
little
mate.
goatee there. Remember Dobie Gillis, the guy behind the G Krebs?
Mate, that's just something I've always had, some facial hair during the year, and I've just tried something different.
So new look Johnny Barnes, we'll see how he goes throughout the year. Sorry, Duck.
I was just going to say, I've spent the last hour with Barnesy out the back, and I don't think he's changed at all. Actually, he's still the same old runabout bloke. So.
Well, we'll see how he goes throughout the night. Bad news for Collingwood fans tonight. Scotty Burns rubbed out for 2 weeks for a tripping offence. We've got footage of the action here. Scott Cambriali looked like a bit of a leg sweep there, didn't it, Dougie? Do you think it was a harsh penalty, 2 weeks?
Well, 2 weeks, Jay. He certainly did chuck the leg out here.
I mean, he threw the arm out as well, but
Yeah. As you see here,
a little bit clumsy, wasn't it?
Yeah, very clumsy, but 2 weeks, big penalty, probably his first offence too, I imagine, so very
Well,
unlucky.
I guess the biggest story of the week, of course, is the racial vilification charge. The umpire laid a charge against Peter Everett to do with Scott Chisholm. There was plenty of ill feeling in that match, and it'll be interesting to see where this one goes. Will it be taken as a second offence? I know that the St Kilda boys are trying very hard to say the first one didn't go to the tribunal, so it's not a precedent. That was done through mediation. A little bit of vision of the incident here. This is a fantastic goal kicked by Peter
Great
Everett,
goal.
but doesn't he have something to say afterwards, Dougie? What do you reckon he's saying there?
I'm not quite sure there, Jace, but obviously he's gone past 3 Melbourne players. He's a ripper bloke too, Spider, a really good bloke. Maybe he's saying to Scotty Chisholm, isn't he related to the royal family somewhere, Scotty Chisholm?
There was talk
He might be
about
saying, how's your grandmother's broken hip? How's that going along? Or something. I don't know what he's saying, but
Perhaps not, Dougie.
perhaps not, maybe in other words. But I think he should learn from his first encounter
They
with
ran
that
it all
situation.
day, weren't they?
They
ran it
were,
from
and
the
they had a
start.
bit of a discussion
Yeah.
about tattoos, apparently. We'll catch up on all the latest a little bit later on. Now, injuries. This is a tragedy. Some of the biggest names have dropped out of the game. We had Nathan Buckley go down with a broken jaw on the weekend, broken in 2 places. Totally accidental. He just ducked the head, got a hip or a knee in the side of the head.
Mate, I've had 3 of those. So
Have you really?
What's it like, Johnny? What's it
Oh,
like?
the first one I copped in 1990 just shattered my jaw completely, and it was just horrific.
Essendon skipper, of course, James Hird, who'll be dropping in to tell us what's going to happen when he gets operated on first thing in the morning. A very sad night for him. The King, Wayne Carey, just slotting one through from the edge of the square, if you don't mind. But in doing so, aggravated a little bit of a groin injury there, and he's been sorely missed. The Kangaroos have
He's named
started
in
with a
the
couple of
side.
losses.
He's named in the side this week too, I think, isn't he, Kerry?
Mate, that
And
pad,
Barnesy.
I've slipped on that one a dozen times. It's just, thank Christ they pulled him out, I reckon. It's just deadly. And that's just a champion just going down there. It's just a bit of bad luck.
So there's 4 of
Bad
the
time
biggest
they took him
names.
out.
There's a few other big names missing. Tony Lockett, of course, not playing at the moment. It really is a tragedy, but we decided to make a bit of a team out of all the players that are injured or in doubt for this week. And when you have a look at it, I've got to tell you, if I wanted to coach, this is the team I'd like to be coaching.
Just look
Have,
down the
have
middle,
a look
huh?
at the goal-to-goal line, if you don't mind. Silvani, Colbert, Buckley, Carey, Lockett. Then you've got Wren, Hurd, Nathan Berg, who'll probably play Archer, who's, I think, back in the side this week, but he has been missing. Not a bad little side, is it?
Could Jeff White get a game in that team, or is he in the,
He's in there,
on the
mate.
interchange?
He's on the bench.
I've got down here, Jace, they've got 5 captains there that have all been hurt. Carey and Burke will probably come back this week, and next captain in Gary Lyon. So there's a few captains.
Actually, Mark Miranda can fit into that side as well. He's out with a back problem as well.
He's out as well.
He's a
on
fairly
the
handy
ticket
player.
fitting, yeah.
Terrible news, and this is only a result of the first 2 rounds in the game. Now, people say the season's too long. You can't say the season's too long when this has happened after round 2. What's the problem,
Well, we've
guys?
played 120 minutes of extra time on in 2 games already, Jace. So it's obviously, we don't know why. We're kicking a lot of goals, which probably adds up to timing, but it's, well, we're playing 30, 32-minute quarters.
The pre-season games, we had about 8 pre-season games, and I really just didn't enjoy the pre-season. It was just too long, and I just couldn't wait for round 1 to come around and be fit for that game.
I agree that the pre-season's too long, but one of the things I think we're probably failing to realise is that it's just that they're big names that are injured. These injuries are happening every year, and they have
Paying
been
good
for
money
probably
to see
10
champions
years.
and they're out.
And it's just a cycle. When it's fringe players, no one batters an eyelid, do they? But all of a
Just
sudden, we've got the biggest
disappointing.
names there that we want to see every week perform at their best, and they can't. And all of a sudden, now we've kicked up over the injury thing.
Yeah, Players Association's going to do something about the shorter pre-season.
Well,
We
how do you
hope they
guys
do.
feel about playing, once you get knocked out of the Ansett Cup, how do you feel about playing all over the country? Like one week you might be down Tassie, or you're up at Kalgoorlie, it could be anywhere. How do you feel about
Yeah,
that?
look, we played in Tassie twice this pre-season. It was good to go down there and see the fans, and I think it's good for them to see
Yeah,
us as
yep,
well. But
yep.
I really didn't want to play them. I was just worried about getting injured and then saying, oh, I got injured in a game in Hobart. And then the big picture is round 1 at the MCG for us, and
Yeah,
obviously...
it's just for the fans, obviously. Like, you don't want to be playing all around the country. That's why it's good to have a real good crack at the Ansett Cup.
Now, Barnesy, you're talking about the pre-season being too long. It would be a very brave coach who said, OK, we'll go in a little bit underdone so that we're primed further towards the end of the season, and we'll risk dropping one of the first few games so that we can get them down the track. That's a little bit like a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of older blokes, like, I'm not saying I'm old,
Yeah, well,
but you only like to play...
29.
You only like to play... Come on, man, I wasn't going to say how old I was. You get to about, you know, age 29, you want to be playing like a half, 2 weeks to go, get 3/4 under your belt, and you're as keen as mustard when the first game comes because you haven't played a lot of footy and you're itching like a young bloke. Like, let all the 17, 18-year-olds run around like, you know, chooks their heads cut off, which is great. But the older blokes like Buddha and that, they don't play a game. They're experienced enough. They played 200 games. They're good enough to go straight in and, you know, mix it with the best of them.
We actually had Nida who didn't play pre-season at all, and he's fairly fit at the moment and raring to go. So maybe the older fellas do
Good idea,
don't
JB.
have to play the pre-season games.
Who knows what changes might come. Well, it certainly was a great night last Thursday night for the Bombers. A great victory over the Kangaroos, but it wasn't all chocolates. Who could ever forget the dejected face of James Hird?
It's a sorry side, isn't it? James Hird needs to play footy. He can't at the moment.
Well, certainly one of the worst sights in AFL football, a champion being struck. And, well, there'll be a big promotion launched on Friday Night Football. We thought we'd get in a little bit earlier. We'd launch our own interstate challenge. Now, tonight we're going to head over to South Australia. A couple of Club 10 boys over there. We're going to put their carpentry skills to the test. So let's head over to Adelaide right now. I believe we've got Gavin Wanganeen, Mark Rasciuto and Josh Frankie there. How are you doing, fellas?
Good, fellas. How are you?
Oh, very good. Now, Gav, can you tell us who's in charge? Who's the foreman in this carpentry job tonight?
Yeah, Roo, he's actually a carpenter, so he's showing us how to do all the work.
Well, Roo, what are you building, mate?
Believe it or not, we're building a dog kennel tonight using our Mitre 10 Mitre plan, and it's part of the Club 10 Mitre 10 promotion, and the kennel's getting auctioned off for charity for the Starlight Foundation, so it's going to a good cause.
Yeah,
Certainly.
boys. Sorry, Jason,
Sorry,
it's Barnesy here, mate. I've only got one hammer at home. Can you pinch some of those tools for me?
No worries at all. Port boys are pretty good at that.
Good on you, fellas. We'll check on you a little bit later on and see how progress is going with that dog kennel. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll check out the great debate that's threatening to really turn football upside down. But before we do go, just spare a thought for the plight of Collingwood coach Tony Shaw. He's got Nathan Buckley out injured, 2 losses on the board, and now tonight, Scotty Burns suspended.
OK, the pressure's on. Ed wants results. God, that camera angle makes me look small. I think I'll get Barmy to talk to them at the break.
Did I tell you blokes about my ballroom dancing days? Look, enough of that. Anyway, if anyone needs to go to the dunny, put your hand up.
All right, I know I'm short, but this is ridiculous. You've made Spud look huge, and I'm just ahead. OK, that's it. Where's the rest of my head? Big Ed will kill me. No, not Big Head, Big Ed.
The media's calling for your head, Shorey. Any message for him?